But what it means is that everybody is already walking around with a virtual production studio in their pocket. They don't realize it yet, but they are. I am Eliot Mack. I am the founder and CEO of Lightcraft Technology, and we're going to be showing you some of our new virtual shot preview system called Spark. It's Spark Story. And it's basically lets a filmmaker see what they're doing ahead of time before they actually commit to production and work with a team. The answer you could say is, why are we doing this? And we've been working on lots of different projects for a while. We built a new app called JetSet. It can actually track a normal cinema camera. And we've done before that lots of years of production and virtual production. We won an Emmy in 2013 for large-scale virtual productions on Once Upon a Time, Pan Am, and a few other shows. But we saw something that was going to be a problem. And there's a big hole up front of the process. And that hole was planning. How do you plan for virtual production? There's all these new techniques available, but how do you think ahead of time? Because when you're at production, it's already too late, right? You don't want to be learning things while you're on the set. There's several $1,000s a minute going by. That is a poor time learning something new. And you want to give yourself a chance to have creative inspiration. And usually creative inspiration takes time. You have to stop, you have to think about it. So we really realized that in the middle of all this, there's a lot of chaos, how all the different productions are having problems, Hollywood's in trouble. At the same time, there's something magical happening. And I wanted to show you a little bit of what is becoming possible with this, because it's kind of a new way of doing this. We'll start off with what we're doing here. And what Spark Story ultimately is, it's a collaboration tool. Filmmaking is a team sport. Most of the tools that have been built up till now are individual software tools. They're kind of an isolated island. The core of this is a real-time 3D database built around a screenplay. We use the screenplay as the organizing element. So we're loading in a screenplay, fountain, final draft, etc. It automatically breaks it down into all the different pieces of it, so that when we take the next step and we load in a 3D scene, we already know that that's associated with that part of the script. Some huge part of this is organization. We want to keep track of everything. So we can load in a 3D set. In this case, this is a scan by a company called Megascapes. It's great. It's a really accurate rendition of part of London. But you can also generate this by a prompt. We've worked with World Labs, which is a AI-assisted 3D world generation system. So you can actually give it a photograph, and it'll generate a 3D world. And so we'll show one of those later on, our kind of desert dragon scene. This is a scan of London done at a very accurate level. So down to centimeter level accuracy, but it runs in the browser. And so that means we can actually collaborate. So your team can all be joined in and see what you're doing. Well, we've got a location. We actually need to have characters. We need to have actors. What are you going to actually be shooting in the scene? So we're going to be loading in a 3D USD file, in this case a character, that we can drop in the scene. Once again, it's accurate. The goal of what we're doing is to be able to simulate the real-world filmmaking experience closely enough you get an accurate sense of how your show is going to come together, what it's going to be like in production, what it's going to be like to watch it. So we can have the characters, we can drop in different objects. In this case, we drop in a fancy car. And once you have objects and characters in the scene, you can start to make shots. So here we can actually align the shots once again to the screenplay, because our whole database is based on a screenplay. Pick out a camera, pick out a lens, and pick out a kind of a framing preview, and decide what we're going to take a picture of the actress, and it'll drop us right into the viewport. And very quickly, we can make a shot. This is okay for, I'd say, technical shots, but we showed this to some of our creators, like Joshua Kerr, and he said, just give me the camera. And I love that, because what we're trying to do is listen very carefully. And so when a creator says, nah, just give me the camera, well, we're going to give him a camera. We built a dedicated iOS app that links in real time to this database and lets you move around in the same way to everything that you're seeing here. It has the script loaded, has your shots loaded. Everything that you can see in the database, we can work through in the app. But we can do something even better, which is we can actually hit a button, and now we can shoot, right? Now we have all the controls that we've had for our other tools, and we can do a virtual production shoot. The key thing here we're doing is now we're seeing what we're looking at. We have a dragon on our dune. Again, this is a generated scene created with Marble Labs, and the dragon's created by a company called Eye Candy and animated by Alex Hanneman. The way this can work is you can send your director of photography a scene. They open it up on their iPhone, and they start playing with shots. And you say, okay, let's record a shot. And we can see, as we move the dragon starts to wake up, we can come in and start to react to him as he moves back through the air, and as he takes off into the sky. We can follow him through the sky, and once I hit stop and name the shot, immediately have it transferred over there. No, this happens immediately. Even though we're in the same room, it would work the same way if he was on the other side of the world. And this is the way that you can collaborate with your team. You can both see what you're doing, you can collaborate with your team halfway across the world, and now we're having a cinematic conversation. Now we are talking to each other in the language of film. We just haven't been able to do this. This, to my knowledge, is the world's first team previsualization system. So you can actually plan shoots collaboratively with your team the same way you would be on set, except minus the $10,000 a minute cost. That's where this is fun. Inside every iPad and iPhone for the last decade is built a tool that lets it track. So I can hit a button and all of a sudden I can track the dragon. I'll just speed them up, and it's tracking where the iPad is in 3D space. This is a tool that Apple built called ARKit, and it's phenomenally powerful. But you've already got the hardware. We're just building the software that's going to enable the hardware you already have to do this kind of magic work. We're starting to get some results that become truly remarkable. So this is an example of a project done with Megascapes. This is the same scanning company we saw earlier, where they're walking through a background, but this is how we're shooting it, right? So we're not on a green screen stage. We're actually outside in a real world environment with real sun coming down, and we just have somebody walking around behind them with a little green screen, which I love this technique. It's all part of a piece. Now, Spark Story is the first piece of it that we're delivering. So we're showing a preview here at NAB. We're going to be having a beta at SIGGRAPH in July, and then in a release later on this fall. For commercial release. You're going to be able to start planning and putting together your story very early, so that if you have that crazy idea that everybody says, there's no way, you can't do this, you can start putting it together and showing your team, no, this is how we go from something that you would think is impossible to it's absolutely possible. This is how we do this. Sometimes people think that Gen AI is going to take all the jobs. We actually want to show a different way of doing this. This is real filmmaking. This is absolutely, the same things you've learned, composition, framing, etc. Then you can actually go into production and make something beautiful and real, and do it at a far lower cost than we've seen before. And that's how we start a renaissance. That's how we actually start to have production happening again, is to be able to do amazing stories told by creators and artists who love creating, but give them more freedom to do this. So that's what we're doing. Alex Hanneman is a YouTuber who's also a skilled compositor. He runs Compositing Academy. And we wanted to show what was possible with on-location virtual production. So he's in a cave in Iceland, and he has an animated dragon, and he's going to be able to shoot the dragon as the same dragon that we saw in here, built by a company called iCandy.xyz. He wants to be able to shoot that dragon as it comes flying out of the cave, just like he was a wildlife photographer and catching it. And so he's able to do that because it's a portable system. And so he's able to do something really extraordinary. This is what he's seeing in real time in the cave. This is the dragon preview that he saw when he shot it. And this is the actual production shot as the dragon's rearing up in the cave. So as it arcs up, you can see that he was following it in real time with the jet set rig, and that's why it feels like such a live shot, because he was actually reacting to it in real time. And so the final imagery he was able to do with this is just really extraordinary, to see the dragon running out of the cave. And yeah, Alex is a remarkable compositor, but I showed this to a very high-end director and his comment was, "That looks great. What movie is that from?" And I said, "Oh, we did this collaboration with a YouTuber named Alex Hanneman." There was a long pause, and I can tell you from hearing about it that Alex's phone burst into flames after this. This went around the world many times. It remakes how people think about doing character animation. And I've talked to multiple productions that said, they would look at this video and this is how we want to work, where we actually are running around and seeing the creature move it. So the exciting thing is it's happening. This is a project we're working on called Pathways. This is with the Entertainment Technology Center. And the Entertainment Technology Center is a collaboration between George Lucas and the USC Film School. This is not just prompted. This is a fusion of multiple different elements where it interlocks together. It was a shot on stage with great performances by Roberto Schaefer, who's the director of photography on this. Lit really well, shot really well, great performances directed. And then we took it into post-production, tracked it with some advanced visual effects process that we can do with JetSet, and then a combination of things, some traditional visual effects, some AI image generation pieces, all fused together to make a final shot. But it's still filmmaking. That means that a small team can make magic, right? This is the beginning, but you're going to see features,
Right.
and matter of time, absolutely matter of time. So I'm really looking forward to it. We're building the software pipeline to make that happen.